I'm Shain, a New York Jewish mom who had the audacity in 1993 to continue a geriatric pregnancy and give birth at the age of 46.
And I'm Sarah, the result of that pregnancy. 32 years later, I'm currently a practicing therapist. Though Shain is often thought to be my grandmother, she's still my mom, and this is Listen to My Mother,
a podcast where we answer your real-life questions with 2 points of view, one rooted in motherly instinct,
and one rooted in clinical training.
You'll get guidance, support, maybe a little tough love, but always from the heart.
And if you'd like us to answer your question on air, head to the link in our show notes and send it our way. We want to hear any questions you have.
And now it's time to
Listen to My Mother.
Good morning. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Well, it's not really morning for either of us anymore.
That's true, but it's been a crazy morning. Your dad and I left Phoenix last night and arrived in a 2-hour different zone into Florida after midnight. And that was up in Tampa. And we had to get to the rental car. And we totally forgot that, well, we didn't forget, but it's been a long time since we flew into Tampa. And you fly into not the main terminal. Then you have to take the shuttle to the main terminal. And then if you're renting a car, you have to take another train to the rental places. And then you have to wait. And then you have to forget your phone in the women's room and run back to get it. So
okay, so you had a night. All right. But I guess maybe I don't really remember the Tampa airport that well. But that sounds like Denver, where you have to take the shuttle to the main terminal. But I've never rented a car in Denver. So
I had quite a
night. Yeah, you had quite a night. But now you're in Florida. And how long are you there for?
But now, this morning, that's why I think it's still morning. We had to get up. We got in really late. We had to get up really early to go to the car storage places, get the car, bring back the rental car, get the other car, bring it back. Anyway, so this is my morning coffee, and it is 2:20. Mm-hmm. So that's it, my morning coffee at 2:20. Well, so I feel like it's still morning, but we've accomplished a lot, and here we are. And you had an interesting evening, didn't you? This was your fourth annual?
Yes.
Soup party, soup night? How did that go?
Fourth annual soup night was very fun. It was the most soups I've had, the most attendees I've had of all the past soup nights. We also did like ranked choice voting of our favorites. And next year for the 5th annual, because I had multiple people asking me to do a competition. Every year people ask me to do it as a competition. And I just don't. But this year I was like, you know what? Because enough people asked, I was like, let me just get some pieces of paper and everyone just writes their top 3 in order. And then I'll do the calculating later. And it was actually kind of fun because it was cool to see there were 2 soups that were 1 point apart at the top. So the first place one won by 1 point, which was very exciting. And it was very good. And so next year I'll have a trophy for the first place winner. I think I'm going to get a soup Christmas ornament and then gild it.
Okay.
And then I'll be the trophy for the 5th annual soup night. I also had people vote.
Where did your soup fall in the, what'd you have, 15 soups?
14 because one couple didn't come. So it was 15. It was supposed to be 15, but we ended with 14. And I didn't rank the rest of them, only the top 3, but there were 3 soups that didn't get voted for at all, unfortunately. But I only had people vote
there. Was yours?
No. Mine got voted for twice. I think I had 5 points, but the winner had 20 points. So.
And what was that soup? Without giving away a name, what was the name of the soup, not the name of the person?
So it was butternut squash soup, but with kabocha squash, and it was really, really good.
I don't know what kabocha squash is.
I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it's a type of squash. And it was very good, but I guess the soup is mostly dairy. It's a lot of milk and heavy cream. But I think I'm going to try to make it with coconut milk, which is my new favorite thing to cook with, and see if I can make it a dairy-free version.
we skipped December because December was actually crazy for both of us. And
Mhm.
I looked back to see what the date was of our November recording. It was very early in November. It was
November 4th.
so on November 4th, we talked about my friend
Yep.
and that she was in the hospital and very ill. Since then, the recent December has been crazy. And for me, at least, is she died.
Mhm.
She died in the middle of November. I had to rush back to New York because I was her healthcare proxy. So I had to rush back and make decisions about what was going to happen. At that point, we were still kind of hopeful that there might be something that could help her, but it just got worse and worse. And within a week of my being home, she died. And it's, my a testament to me, I guess, that she trusted me to make me her executor and her trustee. But she must have hated me deep down inside because this has been a trial, an
Mhm.
absolute trial. Nothing has been easy here. It's just it's been so time consuming dealing with her affairs that I have not really taken in that she's gone, except
Mhm.
that she would be the person I'd be calling to bitch about that I'm doing this right now for someone, but I can't call her and bitch about it and have her totally support me in this.
Yeah.
So it's been rough.
I know, I keep having to remind myself that she's gone because, like, I didn't talk to her every day the way you did, and, like, I saw her a couple times a year, but she was family, and it's like I have to actively remind myself that she's gone because it's not such a part of my life that's missing,
Mhm.
and every time I have to, like, remind myself of, like, "Oh, I'm never going to talk to her again. I'm never gonna hear her laugh again," which, like, for listeners, like, she had the most infectious laugh ever, and I, like, replay it in my head sometimes, and then I cry. Like,
Mhm.
I might start crying right now,
Right,
but
I see you're
I
getting a little
know.
weepy. I haven't even gotten there. I have no time. I have no time to even go there. It's just when I think I have to call her and
Mhm.
I can't. The reason I'm so upset is because that doing all of this is because she's gone. And there's no end in sight because of complications about her estate. It's a full-time job. I am actually going to give a little class on how people should prepare their executors.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
In a surprise, how much is involved in this? Yeah. So it's just overwhelming. It is really a full-time job if you want to do it right. As a matter of fact, today, after she died, within the week, I called her. Her big expense was on American Express. I called American Express. I wanted to kill the credit card so it didn't get picked up by anybody reading obituaries or whatever, start using people's information. So I called American Express. I told them she was gone. I sent them a death certificate, and they said, okay, somebody would be in touch with me about how to finish out her, the account, the balance she had. I said, fine, fine, let me know what. Well, it's now, she died middle of November. We're middle of, I just finally got the call this morning from American Express saying, okay, we're so sorry she died. Now, how are you going to take care of this?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's ongoing. I have to keep the electricity on, the internet on, the gas. I have to keep everything going so that I continue to monitor her phone
Mhm.
and her emails so I see bills she gets. So I know what needs to be paid. So there we are.
Right, I was gonna mention because, well, there's complications with the estate that I don't even think she could have predicted.
No, she thought it was gonna be so simple. What she said to
Right.
me was, you'll call my lawyer, everything'll be fine." That is not the way this works.
Right.
Not at all.
Right. Okay. So there's complications that she could not have foreseen. This process is much more complicated than I think anyone expected it to be. But then I was going to mention that you're doing this class, this like women's class. How many weeks long is it?
It's an 8-week class, which I thought I had 3 months to prepare for. The class is on Friday. I have been so bogged down with this that this is actually what I'm going to do for the first class.
Right.
I'm going to give information about how you prepare the executor that you've chosen. We're all old people, so we should have this, we should know this,
Mhm.
and how to prepare whoever you've chosen as your executor. And if any of the women in this group have experience with having gone through it, to talk about their experience and
Mhm.
what they learned that they would share, that kind of thing.
Do you want to give like a little mini lesson right now of all the things that you've learned about estate planning?
Well, what I've learned, there's so much that I have learned in terms of an executor being prepared for what they have to do. But I would say, even I'm learning on the job, but the single most important piece that I tell people I run into in the supermarket say, it is so important to have someone you trust completely, that their name is on all your bank accounts,
Mm.
that they have access to money immediately upon your death,
Mhm.
so they can take care of the things. I had to, because I did not have access, I wasn't on her bank accounts, though I'm the trustee of her trust. The trust didn't have money in it. It had her house, it had her
Mhm.
apartment, it had her piano, which was a very expensive Steinway. It had a lot of things in it, but it didn't have cash
Mhm.
yet, because the cash had to move in after I proved who I was and that I'm the trustee, and they can now put some investment cash into the account that I can use to pay. It got a little crazy. And the accounts she was living off of, only her name was on them. They were on auto pay. And once she went into the hospital, auto pay continued to pay until that bank account got totally emptied out.
Mhm.
And now there were dunning letters. We didn't get paid for this. We didn't get paid for that. The
Mhm.
electricity's not paid. This isn't the end, whatever it is, the mortgage payment, the maintenance, the everything that was on auto pay could no longer be paid because the bank account ran out of money. I called the bank to say, I'm the trustee, and they're saying, yeah, but these accounts aren't in the trust.
Mhm.
So no access to money. So I paid for her funeral out of my pocket.
Mhm.
I paid for the luncheon after the funeral out of my pocket. I paid for the storage of this very, very expensive piano, be stored to be held for her grandchildren someday, out of my pocket. I paid for an attorney
Mhm.
out of my pocket. So that kept accruing until I'm able to get some cash from her investments, which are in the trust,
Mhm.
because those other accounts are frozen, and they will remain frozen until after the will goes through probate court. And that could take a year or more.
Right.
So my advice right off the first thing is, make sure somebody else's name is on your bank accounts,
Mhm.
so they don't get frozen upon your death and people have access. They can pay for your funeral.
Yeah, it's hard though to know who you can trust to be on your bank account and not take all your money.
Well, hopefully you have a child that you trust in that way. Or for my friend, it was me. I'm the trustee, I'm her executor, but
Mhm.
we didn't even think of it well, she gave me a list of instructions. There were 20. Call this one, call that one. If I die, do this, do that, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. All of this. I said, I'm giving you one instruction: don't die.
Mhm.
That was it. And she couldn't even do that. Really? What kind of friend is that?
Mhm.
So it was a surprise. It came as from diagnosis to death was just weeks. It was a very unexpected and unfortunate, event, and we all got caught. I say with our pants down, but that's
Mhm.
not
Well, she, like, went into the hospital, what, for an asthma attack and then never left?
something like that. It's more complicated than that, but she was having difficulty breathing, has a history of asthma, so her pulmonologist assumed it was just a bad asthma attack and didn't really check her out thoroughly from what I can see. And when he couldn't stop the attack and it was just getting worse and worse, he sent her to a cardiologist. And she had heart stuff done and she had
Mhm.
this. And they said, yeah, you have some heart issues, but that's not causing this. Go back to your pulmonologist. And he there, so she was being sent hither and thither. And weeks were going by and she really couldn't breathe. And she took herself to the ER, had a chest x ray, and they saw a mass in her lung. And it was a very, very aggressive lung cancer that from the moment they knew what it was until she died was 6 weeks. And there was nothing they could do at that. It was just too late, too fast, too aggressive. And it was terribly unfortunate, but as I said, I can tell the story, but I don't feel it. I'm so overwhelmed with everything else. I haven't had the wherewithal to grieve or think about the loss.
Mhm.
It's just the work itself is very busy on her behalf.
Is any part of you, like, grateful for all the work so that you don't have to grieve?
No,
Okay.
no. I I I I feel as if I'm not living my life right now.
Mhm.
I'm doing these tasks which are not related. My life is I miss my friend and I
Mhm.
should be thinking about her and not pissed at her
Mhm.
for leaving me with all of this. No, it's not there's no upside to this piece at all.
Mhm.
There's a lot of interaction. This one wants this from the estate, that one wants that. I have to make decisions about her stuff that shouldn't be up to me, but it is.
Mhm.
And it's really unfortunate. The whole thing is unfortunate. So you too have had a very busy December. Made a big decision about your lifestyle.
Well, yeah, we've shifted everything around in my house, and every room now has a different purpose than it did 3 days ago. Last night when I had this party, like, people came over and they're like, "Wow, how long has it been like this?" I was like, "48 hours." Like, one person made a comment like, "Wow, I really haven't been here in a long time. This is so different." I'm like, "You could have been here 3 days ago, and this would be different." So, it's really not the greatest judge of how long it's been since we've seen each other.
Now that you've moved your bedroom from the first floor to the second floor and you've opened up the whole first floor really for guests rather than shutting off the room you were using as a bedroom is now
Mhm.
your living room. How did it feel to have all that space?
Well, when you and dad came out for New Year's, I had talked about how my living room was, like, the only space I could go in the house. It's, like, the only place to go sit and do anything, and the living room was like a cave, and it was, like, very depressing. Like, I don't know, I just was, like, feeling very depressed. I mean, there were a lot of reasons I think that in this past year I was feeling very depressed, but I definitely the home was part of why I was so stuck in it. And now that the living room is, like, has all these different entrances and is very large and has wonderful light. And I love sitting in the living room. I feel productive when I sit in the living room. I also feel like when just sitting on the couch watching TV, just relaxing, I feel like that relaxation is deserved. Whereas, like, in the old living room, I felt like I was kind of forced into being a, like, lump on the couch because there was nowhere else for me to go.
There's a lot of change going on for you just in terms of your environment.
Yeah. And also, I had a falling out with a friend group that was very upsetting. My intention, I guess, around my life has kind of shifted. I also am not on social media really anymore, which is a huge change for me. So, like, my brain chemistry has changed a lot, I think, in the last few months. So definitely just change. Also, a lot of grief. I think there was, this loss, but other losses as well. And um yeah, processing a lot of grief in the last 6 months, or not 6 months, 2 months.
Well, I'll stick in with this discussion as much as you said, she wasn't in your life, all the time. Well, she wasn't in mine all the time. I mean, weeks would go by and we wouldn't talk, but then it became absolutely, we had to talk. We
Mhm.
need to connect. And then she would spend, like, we're down in Florida now, and she would come down and spend a week. And it would
Mhm.
just be Dad would have to make himself scarce because we just talked. If we could stay awake for 24 hours, it would have been a 24/7
Mhm.
conversation. But but when you realized that she was going to be gone soon, you flew out. And you came to the hospital with me every day that weekend. You came 3 days in a row while you were in New
Mhm.
York. We went to the it was a long trip. We're 2.5 hours north of New York City. We drove every day down. You saw her, you spent time with her. We drove back home. We went to sleep. We did it again. And then when I needed help cleaning out her apartment, both you and your sister flew in and helped me and did an amazing job in clearing out so that we could, put the, do what we had to do. You guys were fantastic. And you loved her and you did what, they say that the last thing that you do for a person is bury them or do
Mhm.
what, and you do it full-heartedly. You do it with love and care because it's the last thing you'll ever do for them without expecting them to do anything back for you.
Mhm.
It's just a giving. And that's what you and your sister did for her. You came to help me out, but it was really your love for her that brought you back home to help.
Oh, I'm gonna
I
cry.
know.
I am crying. So I'm gonna try to say what I
Yeah.
wanna say without, like, sobbing. Because what you're talking about now, like, the last thing that you do is just giving without expecting anything back, and, like, that is touching on something that, like, what I was feeling flying back twice within 2 weeks and, like, being there to see her and being there to pack up all of her stuff and to do all that stuff that needed to get done. Like, my whole life she was doing for me, and there wasn't really anything I could do for her, and this was my opportunity to do for her mm, I guess, like, because of everything that she had done for me. Like, I could finally give something back.
She loved you guys. She really did. And anytime you needed her, she was there.
Mhm. I mean, during, I guess it wasn't lockdown anymore, but it was, like, we were still kinda isolating in early 2021, and, um I was alone at the house in New York. You and Dad were out in Phoenix. Um, I got Reese, my puppy, and she came to stay with me for a night. She drove up. She was the first person to meet Reese after he
I
came
didn't know
home.
this. Did I know this?
I'm sure you did at the time, but she came and she cooked me dinner and she spent the night and then she left the next morning. And I have videos of her and Reese together from when he was a little baby.
I did not know this.
I think you did at the time, but forgot.
I forget a lot,
Yeah.
but okay.
Yeah.
She was special. She was very
Mhm.
special. But that comes along with remaining alive means you're going to have loss. That's it.
Mhm.
It's gonna happen. I was listening to we were driving around today with the cars and with the food shopping and the thing because it's our first day here, and the ad comes on the radio for life insurance, and the and the guy who's talking says, "I know in our culture, we don't talk about this, but we're all gonna die, so
Yeah.
get life concerns. And it is hard for us to talk about, but it's also very true. We got to find ways to be really kind to each other while we're here and make life easier for others. Anybody who crosses our path, it's so easy to make it easier for someone else. It's so much hard work to be mean and destructive. I don't get it, but it's just a kindness for anybody who crosses your path. And so it's even more than just, oh, be kind to your children, or your children be kind to your parents. Or it's everyone. Can't we just be kinder people? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen that grid that like breaks the country into quarters? And it's like the Northeast is kind but not nice, and the Southeast is nice but not kind, and the Northwest is nice and kind, and the Southwest is not nice or kind.
I have not seen that. But
And I've lived in 3 of those quadrants, and I can attest that that is true.
is it? Well, that's kind of lumping every into characteristics that may not be theirs.
Yeah, I think on an individual level, it's not necessarily true. But culturally, in these regions, I think that it kind of is. Although, I don't know, maybe that's not true. Because, like, in the Southwest, I've definitely experienced a lot of kind but not nice, especially in Arizona. There's, like, a lot of kindness when it's necessary, but people generally aren't very nice.
It's one would hope that human beings evolve eventually, but it's a long haul. My God, it will, if it ever happens.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think that, I mean, I have no actual science to back this up, though I'm sure there probably is some, um, that as a society, we're definitely moving more and more towards cutting ties rather than like repairing connection.
As a country, we're definitely moving.
No, like as a well, yes, as a country, but like just as a human race. We are naturally so communal and social of a species, but I think like the more access to information that we get, like the colder we get. I don't know. It's a half-baked theory.
Well, no, I think it's pretty, accurate in terms of the society in which we live right now. We could get into social media and how everybody's head is in their phones, and the lack of, Dad and I went into a restaurant. There were 4 teenage kids sitting at the table, and this is typical already. This isn't even something strange or new, and all 4 of them had their heads in their phones. So there they are, out for an afternoon. They're sitting in a restaurant, having a meal, and nobody's talking to anybody. They're just looking at their phone. So whatever communication one has is circumvented by not having the need to. You get all your information from this screen, and this screen is not a conversation. It's just information coming at you. It's very one-sided.
Well, that's definitely part of what I'm talking about, but I'm also thinking about how like ruptures in relationships, and I've been noticing this for years. Like so many people that I know are like, "Oh, well they dissed me that one time, so I guess that friendship's over." And like that, like putting any, like it's just, it feels like easier than ever before to just be like, to just write something off, to write relationship off.
Well, I think that's been a long time coming, in starting with, at least to my knowledge, starting with what's the term? I lose terms. You can discard things so easily. Things are easily replaced.
Yeah,
Throw it away.
that's very much what it is. It's like, I'll be fine without this. So you did that one bad thing. I don't need you in my life. But people
it's
do.
disposable. Everything's
Yeah.
dispose. You got a disposable lighter. You got a disposable razor. You've got a disposable. Whatever. You don't have to value quality and loyalty to something, because it could be replaced so easily.
Mhm.
And that evolves into relationships, especially once we started using the word toxic,
Mm-hmm.
the definition of toxic became, toxic was you don't want to be in a toxic environment where pesticides are being put on your foods. All of that made sense until it started being extrapolated out to this friendship is toxic. It's, I'm not okay in this friendship in the moment. Therefore, let's combine it with the disposability that is so easy. And if it's toxic, get rid of it. And that evolves into I had a toxic childhood because once my parents didn't let me go out and that's
Mm-hmm.
toxic and now easy. Let's just get rid of them. The estrangement has become, within families, you talk to anybody, and it's like, I haven't spoken to my son in 10 years. Oh, my son hasn't spoken to me in 6 months. Anyone you talk to, that seems to be, you know, don't know what happened, but suddenly I have no access. I think it's been building over years. First, disposability. Combine that with everything is toxic, anything that upsets you at all, combine them and you're isolating yourself.
Right. Like there certainly are relationships that are toxic, but it's become so overused for anything that makes you uncomfortable or is not 100% what you want it to be has become labeled as toxic.
Yeah. I mean, it's so what do you expect to retain?
Mm-hmm.
If the slightest thing, it doesn't have to be slight. Let's say it's big. I had big issues with my parents. Big, big, big issues. That didn't mean I threw them away.
Mm.
There were still other pieces of the relationship that brought us together. It wasn't just the bad parts. There were good parts too.
I think we have slightly different opinions on this, I think, from what we've talked about before. That's like there are definitely relationships that like are necessary to cut off for your own well-being, but I do think that it is overused and happens too easily.
Well, there are ways to mitigate the pieces that are upsetting. There are ways to do that with throwing the whole baby out with the bathwater.
There's also another piece of this is, I think, and this kind of like feeds into like this concept of cancel culture that doesn't allow people to learn or to grow. That like, yeah, if you repeatedly set a boundary about how you will be treated in a relationship, whether it's family, friends, romantic, whatever, and that boundary is repeatedly crossed, yeah, you're well within your right to cut that off. But if you like state a boundary and then the person honors it and learns and grows, there needs to be space for that to be allowed to happen.
Okay, I'll agree. Sort of. I still think that there's there are pieces that you can hold on to even when you reject the things that don't work for you. There is still a grace that you can allow, even if it's limited. But then again, I was not in a situation where I didn't have that kind of option. I don't know um, what you would be living through to make that so definitive.
Well, I think it's about safety, right? Like, if you like the pattern that I feel like I see the most often is like, you've put up with a quote unquote toxic parent for a long time. I see a lot that it's like an alcoholic parent. And you're putting up with it because they're your parent and you have some level of love for them. And then you have children of your own. And now your parents' unreliability puts your children at risk. So you have to cut off that relationship. And I've seen that. And I think that that's fair.
Well, okay. I don't know what circumstance would make that happen. Can you give me an example of what a parent would do that would make you feel your children are in danger of being with that person?
So I have a specific example of someone that I know who her mother drove drunk with the grandchildren in the car. and that was like the last straw. Or like passed out while cooking with the kids in the house. Like, it's like, yeah, you cannot be around my children anymore.
All right, but isn't there a ground where, you can continue to know your grandchildren, but only when I'm around or within certain circumstances?
Yes, but
Is
what,
there
like,
no place for something like that?
why would you want to expose your children to that type of person who you never know what state they're going to be in? Are they going to be obliterated when they show up? Are they going to say things that are harmful to the kids because they're drunk? If it's so unpredictable, you're going to do what you need to do to protect your children from that.
It's hard for me to reconcile that there isn't, some control in that. Today, you're in no shape to be with my grandchildren. We'll try it another day.
Right, but what if you
As opposed to, do not darken my doorstep ever again.
Right, but what if, every single time for months you're in no shape to be with my grandkids? At what point do you just say, I'm tired of doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. Don't come back.
I can see that happening, yes. But then there needs to be some grace in terms of let me know when you think you can come back.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's what I was saying before is like there needs to be room to learn and grow. So, like, if that parent goes to rehab and is sober for 2 years and can come back and be like, look, I fucked up in the past. I've put in the work to not be that person anymore. And I want to prove to you that I can be different this time. Yeah, it would be nice, right? If there is grace, but also like the person who has been harmed by that pattern repeatedly, everyone's going to have a different threshold for that, for what they're willing to have grace for.
Well, that's where my original statement of can we try to be kinder to each
Mm-hmm.
other? Does it have to always be rancorous? You make your boundary, you draw your boundary, you say, this is how it has to be for the safety of my children or my own sanity or whatever. Let me know when you can live within that. And when you can, I'm open to trying, as opposed to you've done this and now I never want to see your face again.
Right, but not
So,
every parent that's being told that can hear it for what it is. Someone who is mentally unstable, someone who's an addict, are going to say, I'm good now. I'm good now. I've done the work. I can handle this now, right? But
but
they don't.
then you always have the option of saying, I don't see it yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's, a certain amount of control without being so blatantly
Right, but how long do you need to be
forever.
exerting that?
Because
Let
life,
me finish my sentence. How long do you have to be so hypervigilant and so needing to have that level of control for this relationship to work when it's just not worth it anymore? And it's just easier to be like, let's just not.
well, you can in the moment say, let's just not, and then still be open at some point to allowing it. Life is short,
Mm-hmm.
as evidenced by my friend there was no way she was ready or she should have died at this
Mm-hmm.
point. Has such a full life. She had so many people who loved her, so many people who counted on her, who feel the loss of her so deeply. I took out 45 people for lunch
Mm-hmm.
after her funeral. It was, some she shouldn't have died. I'm just saying, life is so short. Why not be open
Mm-hmm.
to making things better? If you have to be vigilant, you won't be vigilant forever. You'll die. You'll still be vigilant.
But it's like the flip side of that, right? It's like life is so short. Why not be kind and be open? And the flip side of that is like life is so short. Why would I open myself up to something that has proven to be so painful?
I guess. See, when I was 40 years old, I asked my mother for a divorce
From her?
from her.
Yeah.
She came into my house and immediately verbally attacked me for something that made no sense
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. At least no sense to me. And my simple question to her, because that's how I felt my whole life, And here I was 40 years old, and all I asked her was, "Why do you always have to make me bad?
Mhm.
I'm not a bad person. I have done so many good things for our family, for my sister, for my brother, for their children. I am a good person, and you consistently try to make me be bad in your eyes. I'm attacked for things that have nothing to do with me. I got attacked when my brother got arrested for dealing drugs
Mhm.
when I was 16 years old, and I was attacked by my mother, not him. So they had to go through bailing him out, getting a lawyer, all of the things, and dealing with his school and all of it, because he was thrown out. He was this. He was on probation. I got attacked for, you knew what he was doing and
Mhm.
you didn't tell. I said, what did I know? You must have known. All right. I got attacked for it when my brother was dating a non-Jewish girl and he was leaving the country. He was going to volunteer for the army in Israel in 1973. So I wanted to have dinner with him, and he was dating a girl at the time. So it was my sister and her husband at the time, I guess, and my brother and his girlfriend. I said, "Let's go out to dinner before you leave." And my mother calls me up and railing at me. And I thought she was upset that I'm having this little family dinner and didn't invite her. I said, Mom, of course you and Dad come. I had come. Why would I come? You're making this acceptable. My God, I was so attacked because he's dating a girl who isn't Jewish and that I made it okay because I'm having her for dinner. But the attack was so that was the kind of thing she did to me on a regular basis. When I was 40 years old, she attacked me again for something that made no sense to me. And that time I was done. And I told her, why do you need to make me bad? And she said, we got into the craziest fight with her saying, you always hated, she's saying, you
Mhm.
always hated me, you're jealous of me, you can't do what I can do. You can't, she always had this comparison with me, girl. She could type faster, she could type in 3 languages. I could only type in 1 language. We had this craziness between us. And at that point, I'd had enough. And I said, I'm done. Obviously, you think I'm out to hurt you. I think you're out to hurt me. We are not okay together. I'm done. I want a divorce. And
Mhm.
she said, you want a divorce?
Mhm.
It became this. And then I told her she had to leave my house. You have to leave. She left, whatever. Then I started getting phone calls from my father. When are we going to see the children? When are we going I said, when I'm ready, you'll see the children,
Mhm.
whatever, but I'm not ready yet. And I said, I'll never stop you from, you're welcome here anytime. You want to come? Come see the children. But, well, we miss and we do and we have it. And he called me a number of times until finally I said, I'll come on Wednesday. I'll bring the kids. You can see the kids on Wednesday, whatever that was, a few weeks
Mhm.
later. That day, I get a phone call. When are you coming with the kids? I said, after they do their homework and after they've had dinner, we will come over and you'll see the kids. So it was, we still didn't cut
Mhm.
everything off. I took the kids. We went over. My mother was waiting at the door when we arrived. She opened the door. Come in, come in. We came in. We stayed a little while. I said, we have to get home. Kids have to shower, go to bed, do whatever. And as we're leaving, I turned to my mother and I said, we have to talk.
Mhm.
And she said, talk, schmuck. Who has the, not necessary.
Mhm.
But she walked on eggshells after that.
Mhm.
I could tell when she started to say something, a look from me, and she would back right off. And we went on for that was when I was 40. She didn't die for many, many decades after that. So, and our relationship was okay. It was okay. We got along fine. You can, that's my experience that you can control, the things that, yeah. Anyway, that's mine.
But not everyone has, first of all, the ability to stand up for themselves like that or be received in that way. Right? For her to, she couldn't talk to you about it, but she took it, right? She took the feedback and walked on eggshells. Not everyone has that. It doesn't work that way for everyone. That, standing up for yourself could just make things worse.
I guess, but it's outside of my experience, so I don't know.
I'm curious, though. I want to put this out there for anyone who's listening who has their own thoughts on or experience with estrangement or cutoffs. I mean, I think we're talking specifically like parent-child, but any, I think, is probably fair. I'd want to hear what other people's perspectives are. Our email address, I believe, is in the show notes at the end, but just in case, it's listentomymother.podcast@gmail.com. And if people have thoughts, the two people that listen to this, I'd love to know what other people think about this.
Yes, we could have input. And depending on if people actually respond, it would be interesting to share that.
Yeah. And maybe I'll make a form that can also be anonymous if people don't feel comfortable writing in. Yeah, let's see if anyone emails us after this comes out, but if not, maybe I'll make a form that we can talk about next time and we can
Yeah, I would
return
like to
this.
take this opportunity actually to request the two people that are listening to our podcast that we go off and talk about our own stuff because that's what we do. Just to speak to each other and have a conversation. But it would really be nice if somebody sent in a submission, something they would like us to, pull apart.
It's better when we have someone that we can respond to than just chatting.
and then you get to our two different points of view because we have two different levels of experience. So send us your thoughts, send us your questions, send us your horrible predicament that you need help with that we will be so helpful with.
Yeah, so submit your stuff. The link should be in the show notes of anywhere that you're listening. Also, you can go to our Instagram, Listen to My Mother, and in the link in our bio is all the places you can listen, but you're already listening, and the form to submit for advice. And I will create a form also for opinions on estrangement and put that also on the link, whatever it's called, the link tree in the bio.
Okay, I'm just going to stick in another one of my 2 cents because I only have 2 cents. Since I don't have my headphones here, I forgot completely that when I left Florida last time, I must have taken them back to New York with me. So I'm working on my AirPods with this, and my battery is going to
Yeah, I have a client in 10 minutes anyway, so I have to wrap up and go get ready for that.
Okay. And that's a whole new experience we should talk about maybe next time, that you are completely independent at this point with your clients. And that's a new experience for you.
Yes, I'm in private practice full time.
Yes, that'll be interesting as well. To me, at least, it'll be interesting. We will see. So I will let you go take care of your client. I will go and start dinner. Because now that we're down on the coast, on the west coast of Florida, and we get to see a beautiful sunset over the Gulf of Mexico, I am going to make dinner and we are going to watch the sunset, but I have to make dinner in order to have dinner when the sunset comes.
Sounds like a perfect plan. So just a quick wrap up. Send us submissions. Link is in our bio on Instagram and also in the show notes. And please email us if you have any thoughts on estrangement that you would like to contribute, something we missed, something we're not getting. listentomymother.podcast@gmail.com. And we'll be back to recording again monthly next month.
Right. And next week, you can tell us the story of the moment you wanted to estrange me but chose not to.
Oh, but which one?
Pick anyone you want. It might be this moment right now.
All right. I will talk to you soon, Mother. Have a wonderful day.
Love you, babe.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Shain.
And this has been Listen to My Mother.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a positive review and subscribing to us on your favorite platform.
And if you'd like the chance to listen to my mother, head to the link in our show notes, which is currently bit.ly/listen to my submission. That's bit.ly/listen to my submission and submit your question.
No question is off limits.
And don't forget to follow our journey on Instagram at Listen to My Mother or at whatsthepoint.therapy.
Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Mama.
Bye, baby.